to win at Silverstone. They are heading on to a second formation lap, but the clock is now ticking, so we are into the 45 minutes whilst we are, in theory, starting the race. The safety car is going to continue around for a further lap.
Yeah, I think simply just because of the conditions, drivers need to figure out exactly where it is safe to put their car, and that is what it comes down to, safety. I've noticed the number of cars, their windscreen and the inside of their windows is fogging quite dramatically on some. The convertible Mazda MX-5, whilst uncomfortable, you don't have to deal with fogging, thankfully. But there are a number of cars that will have to battle that throughout the race. We saw it in qualifying. Jack Goes came in and we were bewildered as to exactly how he could see out of the car.
Yes, it was opaque, wasn't it, the windscreen? You could literally hardly see into the car, so if you can't see into the car, and the driver certainly can't see out of the car, it would be really, really difficult. So yeah, hopefully visibility doesn't become too much of a problem with steamed up windscreens, because visibility itself is going to be difficult once the cars get circulating at full racing speed.
Yes, with that spray getting kicked up, it's just a wall of water you're driving into. Speaking to Leo Northy, the supporter, backer, manager, driver coach, whatever it may be, driver manager, I'm not sure, of Nicole Drought. Nicole's just come back from a couple of endurance races over in America, where the podiums, the silverware continued, finishing second and third. Apparently she's very confident in the wet, and I suppose being from Ireland, you sort of grow up racing in it.
Yes, I think she's done a bit of rallying as well, hasn't she, Nicole, in the past as well, so she'll be quite happy if the car gets a little bit sideways. Lots of weaving being done from side to side, and once the safety car peels its way in towards the pit lane, we'll be able to get the race underway very, very shortly.
We will indeed. So in towards the Fogarty S's go the field, and they will have the best part of 2.5 minutes, 42.5 minutes remaining in their race, so it is effectively a lap. It's near on racing speed, so the safety car controlling the field. It will be a safety car restart. The lights have gone out, and it's right down to the club racer car of Kevin Glover when he chooses to go. I mean, the red lights will remain off, and it's just down to when he wants to go, with it being a safety car restart. Yes, it is. Yeah, I did wonder whether it's going to be a 2x2 start, but no, it is a full safety car start in reality for safety reasons. So we're about to get round 3 of the 2025 MSVT Trackday Championship underway. We are indeed. So Kevin Glover leads the field over the line for the first time at near-on racing speed. Nicole Drought gives chase. It's a good start from the Renault Clio just further back. That being the FrogJam car in the hand of Freddie Pummel. He's trying to apply the pressure onto Jack Wright as they arrive at turn 1. Jordan Honeybone does the same. We've had a car off. Nathan McPhail's bonnet has flown up into his windscreen, so he's had to pull off to the left-hand side. Clearly a bonnet pin, or both, have failed, and that means that car will play no further part in this race. He managed 200 metres at racing speed before the bonnet just gave way into the windscreen.
Yep, it cracks the windscreen and dents the roof as well. I just having a quick look to work out who might have started the number 80 Mazda MX-5. It didn't look like Aidan Hills' overall, so I'm going to go with Tom Griffith having started at the wheel of the number 80 car. So they all splash their way down and through the Craner curves and down to the lowest point of the circuit, so it's always the last bit that dries up down at the old hairpin. There is the somewhat stricken car, the Honda, with the bonnet having been pushed all the way up. That's such a shame, isn't it, for that to happen so early on in the race for Nathan McPhail. And there's a big spin, and there's an off, and into the gravel trap, I'm afraid. We've lost Chris Reed, and that's coming around through Schwant's curve. He's lost the tail end of the cars that got up towards McLean's. Minnie's in the gravel, it's going nowhere.
Yeah, and there was another car. Was there another car off there that it almost looked like it? You spotted it as well, but maybe it's just a car running wide. We've seen Jack Goes flash through shot a number of times. Jack Goes has never raced in the wet. Darren Goes has never raced the Mini in the wet. So for a lot of drivers, that sends the message of this is very much a learning curve. And Jack Goes, not wanting to wait around, looks to the inside now of the BMW 3 Series Compact of Shane Rowe, dives to the inside later on the brakes, position made. For the lead, Nicole Drought isn't allowing that of Kevin Glover to escape up the road. Very close indeed, a big wobble for one of the Mazda MX-5s that we've got out there, but Jack Goes, good move, position made, and he's already starting to build a bit of a gap.
Yeah, that was a BMW Compact, wasn't it, of Shane Rowe that he was able to wiggle his way through and past, so there's no overtaking down towards Redgate Corner because of the Nathan McPhail Honda Civic that's being pushed backwards by the marshals, trying to get it towards pit lane exit end, and once he is safely in the pit lane, then those localised yellow flags can be withdrawn. So Kevin Glover leads the way from Nicole Drought. Nicole Drought, though, last time through, the reigning champion, in second place. Fastest lap of the race we've seen so far, 2 minutes 4.866 seconds as she splashes away down through the Craner curves, down towards the old hairpin. So the Volkswagen leads from the Honda. It's another Volkswagen, that's of Jack Wright, that sits there in third place. Fourth place is the Renault Clio of the Pummel car, isn't it, that started, which is going to be Freddie Pummel. And then it's Jordan Honeybone's Renault Clio from Dan Abbott's Honda Integra DC5. That's the order of the top 6 with 40 minutes to go. Worth mentioning, there is a mandatory pit stop window as well. That mandatory pit stop window opens after the first 15 minutes of the race, remains open for 15 minutes, and during that period of time, everybody has to conduct their mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, we've had another incident through yellow flags as well. That's one of the Renault Clios. I don't know whether, is that the Ollie Sport car, 182 of Ollie Owen?
I'm afraid it's Jordan Honeybone.
Is it Jordan Honeybone that's spun through 180 degrees in the yellow flag zone? And I think we've got, we had the telehandler on its way, so we'll do a live snatch at that area of circuit, but all of a sudden it's got very busy indeed. Still fighting away with the controls is Tom Griffiths, and Jordan Honeybone manages to find reverse and get the car back underway once again as the rest of the field just pick their way through that section of the circuit. As for the race lead, it's closer than ever.
It is closer than ever. We've got Jack Goes looking to try and gain a further position. He nips up the inside of James Hart's Honda Civic there, car number 245. So up into 9th place now, that will be for Jack Goes, who's going beautifully well at what looks like an ex-Martin or Jack Depper car, doesn't it, with the colour of it. One of the original cars are probably built by Stuart Lyons' company, Maximum Motorsport. Over the start-finish line for the lead of the race, it's still Kevin Glover that leads the way, but only just shadowing all the time is Nicole Drought. She's flashing her lights at the wheel of the Honda Civic. She's looking for the inside line, but Kevin Glover is not going to buy into that one. Takes the usual line that you would take in these wet conditions, a slightly wider arc through the corner. Touches the curbs on exit. Have to be careful touching those painted curbs. They've been newly painted as well, just a week ago for the World Superbikes that were here. They're going to be very slippy in these conditions.
They are indeed. You could see the torque steer, couldn't you? As soon as it hit the curb, the car just wanted to go left, even though you might be turning right. It's just what happens when you're on the throttle on a slippery section of circuit. And you can see piling on the lock, Nicole Drought through the old hairpin, continuing to flash the lights. That's all it takes, just to take your eye off the road, a quick glance to the rearview mirror, and in these conditions more than any, that's where the mistakes come. It's getting rather tight and twisty towards Redgate, but that was a big moment for the race leader. Kevin Glover was very sideways and somehow managed to keep the car straight, but that's the section of circuit where everyone gets caught out. Not only is it because of the kerosene that falls from the airport just over that side of the circuit, which makes it very slippy, but that's almost the third car we've seen at the moment there.
Yeah, and Jordan Honeybone was one of those who's certainly got plenty of experience. It's not as though Jordan's an inexperienced driver, got caught out under what were yellow flags there. The snatch has almost been completed of the stricken car of Tris Reed, who put them into the gravel trap on the first lap. The leaders are just threading their way through the Fogarty S's. 'Twas ever still Kevin Glover that leads the way. Nicole Drought is still within touching distance. Any small mistake, any little lock-up at all, and she's poised and ready to pounce. It's very difficult to try and hit your braking point as you head in towards the Melbourne hairpin. Again, Kevin Glover taking that wider sweep through the corner to try and work out exactly where the grip is, and they charge their way uphill, ready to conclude what will be lap number 4 this time through. Last time through, Nicole Drought, another new fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 4.685.
So a very quick lap indeed. Darren Goes has been off the road. Grass in the front bumper of that car in the splitter, which has slightly, I think, started to part ways with that car. So Darren Goes, the first time he's raced this car in the wet, being caught out by the conditions.
At Schwantz Curve and McLean's again.
At Schwantz Curve and McLean's. It's clearly that crossover. There must be a crossover which is catching the drivers out. Out of the final corner, we get the rest of the field. A bit of a moment. That was from the number 45 machine of Matt Swaffer, who's second in the championship, and that car maybe not quite suiting the conditions as best as he'd like.
Yeah, well, Matt's circulating down in 7th place at the moment. We are 2 races completed in this championship. He's finished second in both of them, so he'll be down in 7th place. The Auto Quick car, as it turns its way through Redgate Corner, is clearly struggling a little bit. He's got ahead of him Charlie Polk, who previous seasons we've seen him racing Renault Clios, but he's now got this light green Volkswagen Scirocco that he seems to be doing rather well in. I've not seen him race the Scirocco before.
No, I've not seen him race the Scirocco before, but we are going to get a battle of the Sciroccos, I think, shortly, because as a pair, Matt Swaffer and Charlie Paul are being caught by Jack Goes, so that will be a good little battle to keep an eye on. Very sideways out of the final corner was the number 9 Onboard Motorsport car of Stephen Kelly. Somehow kept the car under his spell, and a big moment for Matt Swaffer again at Schwann's Curve.
I think the problem is at Schwann's, the rain's going to start, so the water's going to come downhill on the tarmac, and it's going to cross the circuit at that point, and that's what's unsettling the cars, because they're turning the car in towards Schwann's Curve at the same point as they hit the stream or the river of water that's flowing from one side of the circuit to the other, and that just sort of catches you out a little bit.
You need to be on the brakes just after that as well.
It's you're asking everything of the car that it doesn't want.
Yes, the car will be so combined, it will be braking, turning, aquaplaning. There's a lot going on, and the car will be begging for some sort of respite. Nicole Drout still not made massive inroads for the race lead, but the mid-pack is really where we need to be watching at the moment. Shane Rowe in the orange BMW 3 Series Compact is still fending off any attentions thereafter. Johnny Ogden has managed to work his way through and past one of the Civic Type R's. I think in this case, was it Jeremy Evans in the Semprini car? We've lost Colin Wells into the gravel, and I think that is up at Schwann's Curve. Yes, it is.
Yeah, now that's another one into the gravel trap up there. All one a very large amount of damage to the number 80 car of Tom Griffiths, who has got huge amounts of damage to the tail end of it. That's through the S's. Now, has he spun the car and clonked the tyre trap? And then Nicole Drout is off as well, with a big accident for Nicole Drout down through the Craner curves. The Honda Civic is off the circuit, and she's ripped the front bumper off. She's come through the Craner curves, and it's just at the top section where she's lost the car, and it's spat her off onto the right-hand side. Wet grass, you're not going to be able to slow the car up, and she's thumped the barriers. She'll be jumping out the car, she's fine, but I'm afraid that's two cars that have both suffered significant damage, and crabbing his way back onto the circuit is Tom Griffiths. That car's not going to end up back at there.
I think
he's trying to get it back to the pits, isn't he?
I think he spun, and Jeremy Evans collected him, because Jeremy Evans, just behind our commentary box, jumps out of the car and wanders back to the marshal's post, which makes you think those two were connected. This race is becoming rather attritional, Mark.
It is, yeah. It's very, very tricky conditions out there. We haven't even got to the pit stop window as yet. So we've also got yellow flags up at Redgate corner, which is probably covering actually Nicole Drout's car, isn't it, which is down through the Craner curves. That'll be a precursor to that one. So there's no overtaking there. There's no overtaking on the Melbourne Loop at the moment because of stricken cars. There'll be no overtaking up at McLean's corner because of the off for Kevin Wells. So there aren't that many points at the moment where you could overtake, and by the look of things, safety car is coming out. Not surprised. Safety car's on standby, but with 3 incidents we have to deal with at the same point at various points of the circuit, safety car comes out.
Yeah, absolutely the right thing to do. Nicole Drout wandering away from the scene of the accident, you'd imagine slightly dazed, but out of the car and walking under her own power, which is great to see. But
That's
it is
the main thing.
it is a quick section of circuit, but as you say, we've got sector 1 with yellows, effectively sector 2 with yellows up at Schwann's Curve, and sector 3 with Jeremy Evans and the Mazda MX-5 up there as well. All of a sudden, this race, as I mentioned, is becoming rather attritional indeed. How close are we to the pit window? We're not that far away.
We're a minute and a half.
And under safety car, come the end of this lap, drivers will be able to pit.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just having a quick look through. Each car will make a mandatory stop, which must be a minimum of 2 minutes in length. That is time from pit lane entry to pit lane exit, so it's not stopped for 2 minutes. It's when you break the beam on the way in to when you break it on the way out. If you don't stop during the pit window, there's a penalty. If you fail to make a pit stop, then you're excluded. It's as simple as that. So there are various controls in place to make sure that everybody stops during the window.
And the way it works at certain circuits, for example Lydden Hill, where we visited last year, into the pit lane prior to the pit window is Jordan Honeybound. So you'd hope that is, well, you say hope with an issue, you'd hope that's not for the mandatory stop, because he has come into the pit lane 50 seconds too early. But for example at Lydden Hill, it went under safety car, and they effectively brought a pause to the race, straight back out like a drive-through penalty. I think he realised but they effectively brought a pause to the race, everybody into the pit stop, into the pit lane all at the same time for 2 minutes, and then returned them to the circuit simply because the pit lane couldn't accommodate them all, which at Linden Hill is going to be quite the challenge. But that, again, it shows that it just works. They have thought of everything. So the safety car queue is working its way along the exhibition straight. We are now 5 seconds away, so we'll keep an eye. Darren goes, desperately trying to be the right side. Right, you're good to go, Darren. Go. You're north of, you're now south of half an hour remaining. So the pit window's open, Darren. In you go. We'll have to keep an eye on the TSL timing screen, page 2 or page 2 or 3, to keep an eye on pit stop times. Make sure
page 5.
Is it page 5? It's almost like you've done this before. So we will.
Oh no, it's page 4.
Is it page 4? We'll wait and see as to who is next in. You should imagine that everybody, it has gone red flagged, maybe due to either the debris that's in the middle of the circuit on the exit of the Foggy TSs, or if they found some barrier damage somewhere out there. But yeah, it's just. It's one of those things. Go on, Mark.
No. Just so we are at 34% of the race, so we should get some sort of restart for this one. And I'm always so happy that I abbreviate the regulations to try and get them on a single page of A4 and actually pick out the one bit that we now need to understand from the regulations. I'm going to read you it word for word. Should any race be stopped after the pit window open board is displayed, but before the pit window closed board is displayed, so Darren goes this effect, he's just coming to the pit lane, all competitors unable to complete their pit stop will receive the following penalties. If you're still in the pit lane when the checkered flag or red flag is shown, a 1 lap penalty. And not yet attempted to pit stop when the checkered flag or red flag is shown, a 2 lap penalty.
Darren goes, he's in a good spot, isn't he?
I think he might be, you know.
I think that he's not raced that car before in the wet. And what a stroke of luck that will be.
But does that mean stopped and not rerun? No, I was just giggling at warming tyres. I'm not sure how much heat you can get into a tyre when the track's this wet, but you can still see, even at these speeds, the amount of water that's being put up from the control Clio Proxys R888R tyres that these cars run. So it's exactly the same compound. It's either the Proxys R888R or the PX888R GG compound for dry and wet conditions, but you're not allowed to plane them, you're not allowed to shave them, you're not allowed to buff them. They are absolutely as were, the tyres.
Yeah, in terms of pressures, that's your own. Your own.
You can't shave them or anything like that to take something.
Sort of deface the tyre, for lack of a better term. So with the field now effectively formed, the blank spot on the front row for the lack of Nicole Drought, we now wait for the final car to come into position, of which it does now. Andrew Thompson comes to a stop. The green flag is waved, and we will be able to get the second part of the MSVT Trackday Trophy Championship, or Trackday Championship, underway. So the 5-second board held aloft, red lights go on. Who gets the best start? It's a good start from Jack Wright. It's a poor start, unfortunately, from that of Hummel, so he will drop down through the order, and we're almost 4 wide on the run in towards turn 1, trying to pick our way through the spray. We turn our eyes right towards the live stream, as they've got a much better view, all being very well behaved indeed. But what exactly went on for the FrogJam racing car of Freddie Hummel? It just all fell apart. He started in what was 3rd place. He's going to be lucky if he remains inside the top 10.
Yeah, it's too much wheel spin, wasn't it? Or was just in the wrong gear, because the car just didn't go anywhere. It's not been a bad start from Matt Swaffer at the wheel of the rear-wheel drive BMW. You would have expected that to get off the line well. He's up into 4th position. Absolutely right. Freddie Hummel is something like 8th or 9th as they head down through the old hairpin. So a really poor start from the number 10 car, who, say, lights went out, just didn't really go anywhere.
Struggled to get that purchase on the tarmac. Jack Goes now, I think, has gone through and past Matt Swaffer. Yes, he has. So he will be released onto the coattails of Charlie Polk. The next driver to arrive should be Dan Abbott, I think, that will start to apply that pressure to Matt Swaffer in his Honda Integra DC5. Darren Goes is trying to carve his way through the order as well. Now with the circuit slightly drier than was earlier, maybe that will suit that of Darren Goes. A look to the inside of Charlie Polk, a look to the inside from Charlie Polk to the inside of Jack Wright. Decided maybe not this time, but doesn't get the best run out of the Foggy TSs, and that's that Scirocco battle. We said it might happen, it's happening now.
Yep, so Volkswagen Golf under attack from a pair of Sciroccos that sit behind. So Jack Wright, Charlie Polk, and then Jack Goes. Jack Goes takes the usual racing line through the Melbourne hairpin, whereas Charlie Polk takes a slightly wider line through to try and pick up a little bit more grip, but both of them pretty much match for pace as they head up the hill and in towards the braking area for Goddard's. So through the left-hander at Goddard's, the first lap of the restart of this race just about to be chalked into the book. It's a Volkswagen 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment, and it's the BMW in 5th place. The first of the Hondas completes the top 6, and the first of the pit stoppers is in. It's the slow-starting Freddie Pummel that dives for the pit lane.
Yep, so Freddie Pummel wanting to minimise the damage. Also in is the number 35 machine of Shane Rowe, so he opts for the pit lane. So too does the 153 Mazda MX-5 of Stephen Docker. Robert Hornigold dives in to hand over to Archie Hornigold, and so too does the number 95 of Lee Taylor. So he's popped into the pit lane to serve his penalty, to serve his pit stop. So pit stops being made, everything has to be over 120 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on the timing screen to ensure everybody's the right side of that window, with the safety car restart, or with the restart keeping everybody as close as possible. Going straight back out onto circuit is Lee Taylor. So with then elsewhere out on circuit, that was
Amy Allen.
Amy Allen, yes it was, running all the way through the gravel belt.
Yeah, that was down at the old hairpin where the Honda Civic EM2 escaped grasp and just rally crossed its way through a little bit of the gravel. Should be able to return onto the track, so that will have just delayed that car. Right, Jack Wright under pressure. He's got Charlie Polk trying to draw the Scirocco alongside the Golf, but he's not going to get there by the time they get in towards the braking area for the Fogarty S's. Jack Goes is right behind as well at the wheel of the number 222 Volkswagen Scirocco, so it's still the Golf from the pair of Sciroccos, but Jack Goes makes a much better run through the Fogarty S's than Charlie Polk, and he draws his car alongside Charlie Polk, but remember, he's on the more polished traditional racing line, so has to be careful with the braking points. Charlie Polk braves it out all the way around the outside of the Melbourne hairpin. He gets a bit more momentum coming off it, and now Charlie Polk has the inside line for Goddard's, and actually they don't change position in the end. Charlie Polk, by the skin of his teeth, hangs on to the place, that being third.
Yes, he does for now, I think, being the key word there. Over the line goes the race leader Kevin Glover, who's controlling the race from the front, with Jack Goes applying the pressure onto Charlie Polk. That has allowed Jack Wright to run away slightly further. We're now getting the first few cars leave the pit lane, and everybody's okay. 2 minutes, 0.6, that's absolutely perfect. Wayne Cockrell diving to the inside of Dean Hyde. Was that position made? No, not this time. Into the pit lane comes Jonathan Ogden to hand over to Ollie Fernell. We also see into the pit lane the 182 machine of Ollie Owen, so he will sit there for 2 minutes. Also in is the Boreham Motorsport car of Stephen Kelly, so is the 56 of Stephen Orrent, the 137 Renault Clio of Andrew McKenny to hand over to Will Jackson Moore. Finally, that of Andrew Thompson to hand over to Martin Adams. What of the battle at the front? It remains as is. It's still Charlie Polk leading that of Jack Goes, but with this battling, it's allowing Jack Wright just to run away slightly further away, and maybe trying to provide or give some of his attention to Kevin Glover. That's a busy pit lane, Mark.
It is a busy pit lane, yeah, so we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars all in the process of conducting their pit stops. Remember, it's time from pit in to pit out. The pit stop has to be a minimum of 2 minutes. For the battle of the Volkswagens, still Jack Wright from Charlie Polk from Jack Goes. 3 cars fighting over second, third and fourth place, just turning their way onto the Melbourne Loop yet again. And again, Charlie Polk looking to try and make sure he can cover off any moves that might be coming from behind from Jack Goes. This is just allowing Kevin Glover still to hang on to the lead of the race. We've still got 24 minutes of the race to go. The leading number 38 Volkswagen Golf heads up towards Goddard's corner. Still see the amount of water that's being dealt with by the Toyo Proxys tyres. Race leader stays out for a further lap. Jack Wright stays out, Charlie Polk stays out, but Jack Goes dives to the pit lane.
He does indeed, splashing his way through pit entry. There's still a couple of cars in the pit lane, so it's still quite busy for Jack Goes to try and find his spot. The mechanic frantically waving at him to get him into the relevant stop. Is everybody still the right side of 2 minutes? Yes, they are. Also diving for the pit lane this time is the 245 Hearts Racing Honda Civic of James Hart to hand over to Phil Hart. We also have into the pit lane a rather foggy number 77 in Donington Motorsport's Ford Fiesta of James Howells, who will be desperate to get the windows cleared on that car. And finally, we've got the 123 of Dean Hyde also into the pit lane. Charlie Paul will be over the moon that Jack Gose has dived for the pit lane and released that pressure. I think, Mark, we've got a car under 2 minutes.
We've got one that's a bit too quick in the pit stop, I'm afraid. Stephen Kelly needs to be a minimum of 2 minutes from pit in to pit out. He was 1 minute 57.285. So that is a short pit stop, I'm afraid. So that will incur a penalty, which is sometimes can be a lap penalty. On other occasions it might be a stop-go penalty for the time that you were short. But we know that it takes the best part of 20 odd seconds to drive down the Donington Park pit lane at the pit lane speed limit, plus stopping and getting going again. So it might be a stop-go of only a couple of seconds, but it's going to cost you 30.
Yeah, there's another one that's popped up that's red, but it's 2 minutes and 27 seconds. So that's definitely not short. Confirm with that one. Darren Gose with a drive-through penalty. Exactly why, unsure. Maybe speeding in the pit lane, but he's only come in once so far. Whereabouts has Jack Wright gone? Jack Wright clearly with a mistake then. So Jack Wright is now down into 6th place. Missed where Jack Wright had made that mistake, but he clearly found himself outside of the circuit limits and has dropped down, yes, a number of positions. Are we going to see the leader in? No, remaining out there is Kevin Glover, enjoying the free track up the road, albeit now with cars rejoining. You should imagine he will consider returning to the pit lane. Jack Gose just about manages to nip out in front of Charlie Paul. Matt Swaffer into the pit lane, Dan Abbott into the pit lane. Everybody else stays out. Jack Wright, even with the mistake on that lap, I would have boxed if I made a mistake, pit in, just have one slow lap instead of having then a couple of slow laps and separating them throughout the race. But for the top two, they remain as they are and remain out there on circuit. Darren Gose into the pit lane. Drive-through penalty, I'm still unsure as to how he's managed to pick that one up.
Yeah, so he's trundling his way down the pit lane to serve.
I think he's not gone past the drive-through penalty board yet.
Right, okay. So this is the mandatory pit stop then he's being asked to do. So he's still then got to come back in to serve the drive-through penalty, because you can't serve your drive-through penalty as part of your mandatory pit stop.
Jack Gose has come out from serving his mandatory pit stop about 2 or 3 seconds in front of Charlie Paul, who is still yet to pit. Do we have another driver that's short?
We do, yeah, kind of a 245. It was all going well, wasn't it, for the white and light green Honda Civic. James Hart giving way to Phil Hart, but I'm afraid that car was 5.6 seconds short on its pit stop. It did it in 1 minute 54.4, not the minimum of 2 minutes.
Yeah, that is substantially short of where they need to be. Wayne Cockrell has spun through 180 degrees, and also there is that of Lee Taylor in the orange Mini. Was it Lee Taylor? No, it wasn't. It was the number 18, the Lynch pairing. Will Lynch and Freddie Lynch found themselves in the gravel. It's all up at that section of circuit, Mark. Has it gone greasy again?
It is. I'm wondering whether there might be a little bit of right rear suspension damage to that Mini as well, because it just looked as though the camber on the rear of the car looked a little bit strange. Great work by the marshals, who are giving the Toyota a shove, and it should be able to rejoin the circuit as into the pit lane comes Charlie Polk. So Charlie Polk into the pit lane from second position. The Toyota gets going, and yes, there is rear suspension damage on that Mini, which does suggest there might have been car-to-car contact.
Yeah, the only bright side I think for this is that one's not for sale with the suspension damage on the rear of that car, but it is crabbing substantially, isn't it? And it's really struggling. Hopefully he just goes through the Roberts chicane, not through the Fogarty S's, just to try and get that car back. Or to a relative place of safety, but no, through the Fogarty S's that car will go. Do we have anybody else diving for the pit lane? What we do have is Amy Allen has jumped out, John Lyne has jumped in, and he's now taking over that car. Ollie Fernell over the line for the first few laps at racing speed to see where he will work out to. We've still got 18 3/4 minutes of this race to go, so still plenty of time for drivers to pit. But more importantly, we've still got a little bit of time until we see how the order is shaken up in the pit window. Charlie Paulk remains stationary. Whereabouts is Jack Gose? Jack Gose is not to be seen as of yet. He's just coming onto the exhibition straight, so we'll keep an eye on that gap, because visually there was only a second between them when they both started their sort of pit window.
The race leader at the moment will be just coming down in towards the Fogarty S's. Finally, the Toad Motorsport Mini crabs its way back in towards the pit lane at exactly the same time as the Toyota arrives in the pit lane. So those are the two cars that had what we think might have been an incident with each other up at McLean's corner. If not, they both sort of had problems at exactly the same point. Are we going to see the race leader in at the end of this lap? So we'll just be going through the Melbourne hairpin currently. Kevin Glover leading the way at the wheel of the number 38 Volkswagen Golf. Charlie Polk still stationary in the pit lane waiting to get back going again. And we've got another short pit stop, I'm afraid. And it goes from bad to worse for Darren Goes, who's got a drive-through penalty pending, but he's also got another penalty pending because his pit stop was not 2 minutes, it was 1 minute 59.382.
What was Jack Goes? Because Jack Goes has just come out quite a way behind Charlie Polk. So
Charlie Polk's got a penalty as well.
How short was he?
0.354.
I thought he was out a bit quick, because the gap between them. Also into the pit lane comes Jack Wright to hand over to George Wright. So George sat there waiting to get behind the wheel. As for the race leader, they have jumped in, so Henry Wright is ready to take over from Kevin Glover in the lead of the race. But the penalties are rolling in thick and fast, Mark.
They are, yeah. Darren Goes is in. He's already done his pit stop. This is to serve what should be the stop-go penalty.
Has he still got the drive-through to serve as well?
I think so, yeah, I think so. The problem is that you can only display so many penalties at any one point.
This one, I think, is the drive-through that he's serving.
Right.
Yeah, so this is the drive-through.
This is the drive-through. So he's done his proper pit stop, that's his drive-through, he's now got his stop-go to do.
Yeah, and also Jordan Honeybone has got a stop-go penalty to serve as well, car number 44. So that penalty has got to be served. The penalties are really rolling in, and this wet weather has, I think the wet weather and the race stoppage has started to jumble the order.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the stop-go penalty is for Jordan Honeybone, because his pit stop was good. It was 2 minute 3.7.
Yeah, that's
good. There must be another sort of infringement somewhere.
Yeah, speeding in the pit lane or engine not on.
Race leader is in, by the way.
Yes, really, yes. So those two are swapping around. Charlie Polk down into the Melbourne hairpin, albeit he will have a penalty looming over his head for the short pit stop. Jack Goes could be in a good position here to pick up what could be a second place, as into the final corner comes Charlie Polk, and just leaving the pit lane now is Henry Wright. So Henry Wright now exits the pit lane. Charlie Polk is closing in, albeit he's got a penalty. There is Jack Goes over the line now. They're not really that far apart, to be honest, but they weren't heading into the pit window.
No, I'm going to keep an eye on next time the cars come over the start-finish line. The number 38 car's pit stop was 2 minutes and 3.040 seconds, so that is a good pit stop from them. And what of the George and Jack Bright, as Jordan Honeybone rather enthusiastically comes in towards the pit lane. The George and Jack Bright number 46 car's pit stop, 2 minutes and 1.346 seconds, so that's a good pit stop from them as well.
It is indeed. So they'll be happy with that. I think they've come out in what will be a net second, or a net third place, whilst they do have Jack Goes up the road and a Matt Swaffer. So Jack Goes and Matt Swaffer could be in a little battle for the final two steps on the podium, whether they know it or not, because Charlie Polk does have that penalty looming large. As for Darren Goes, how many times has he been into the pit lane at the moment? Only twice. So he's still got to serve his stop-go, as he's done his actual stop and the drive-through, so that will be something we can confirm as and when that happens. But Matt Swaffer and Jack Goes are in a good little battle going on in the exhibition straight, aren't they?
Yep, the BMW trying to palm away the aspirations of the Volkswagen Scirocco that sits directly behind. We'll give you a full rundown of the order next time the cars come over the start-finish line, because that is everybody now that has completed their mandatory pit stops, but the order is still slightly shuffled, because of course that order is based on when they last either past the control line, whether that be in the pits or on the circuit side. Jack Goes looking to try and sneak up the inside of Matt Swaffer, former production BMW champion Matt Swaffer having none of it, and just making sure that Jack goes in the VW Scirocco sits directly behind. And now Jack's having another little look at the inside as they're heading towards Goddard's, but he's on the normal racing line. Is he going to be able to sneak his way through? He might, you know, but no, a little bit more drive coming off the corner from the Beamer just keeps him ahead. Over the start-finish line now go. It's number 95 that leads the way, according to our timing screen at the moment, and that is going to be the car of Taylor that leads the way, which has got me scratching my head a little bit.
Yes, yes, somewhat confused as to how Lee Taylor, albeit he has been into the pit. How many times has he been into the pit lane? The number 95 machine, only once. I think he was the car that came through, and yes, he's only been in the pit lane for 21 seconds. He just did a drive-through. Right, so he's still got his proper pit stop to do. He's outside of the pit window.
The pit window is closed.
Yes, so I think in theory he could be leading simply because he stopped for a minute and 10 seconds, or a minute and 40 seconds less than everybody else.
Yes, and failure to make a pit stop during the pit window results in
disqualification.
2-lap penalty.
Is it 2-lap penalty?
Failure to make a pit stop at all will disqualify you.
Yes. So we'll see what he does. If he pits, he picks up a 2-lap penalty.
If he doesn't pit, he's disqualified.
Yes. Yeah. So for the sake of the signature, he will want to dive into the pit lane. Here comes Jack Goes up the inside at Coppice, but that's the polished section of circuit. And I don't know whether he managed to get through. You wouldn't have thought so. No, Matt Swaffer remains where he is, but the Scirocco can be quite quick in a straight line. Let's see what Jack Goes can do on the run in towards the Fogarty S's. It's a look to the inside on the unpolished section of circuit, so he might get a bit more braking performance. Matt Swaffer slams the door shut, and they both just about get through with a bit of an overlap and I think a bit of a run.
It was close, wasn't it, between the pair of them? And he's going to have another nibble as they're heading towards the braking area for the Melbourne hairpin. The VW Scirocco, no, he's going to sit behind Matt Swaffer this time. So again, tighter line taken in. So Jack Goes is quite content to take more of a conventional racing line. Into the pits comes the car that we were awaiting, Lee Taylor, who had been leading. So because he has now pitted and is going to do his mandatory aspect of the pit stop, albeit slightly late, he will pick up a 2-lap penalty for pitting outside of the window. Where is he going to stop? Right the way down towards the end of
Graves garage,
of the pit lane, which is where Graves Motorsport are basing themselves. So he's conducting the pit stop, but it's outside of the window, therefore it's a 2-lap penalty.
It is indeed. Jack Goes still trying to pick the pocket of Matt Swaffer, has had no such luck as of yet. As for what this is fighting over, this is second and third place they're fighting over, as Charlie Paulk up the road has got a penalty awaiting him. George Wright is still trying to carve his way through the order. He's actually lost a couple of places on that lap. He's lost out to Dan Abbott, but who else has he also
James
lost
Robinson.
out to? James Robinson, he has indeed.
Yep, so the number 10 Renault Clio going through, the number 92 Honda Integra going through, so the Volkswagen Golf of George Wright now down into 8th position. So let me just run you down through the order then. Leading the race overall is number 38 Henry Wright, the Volkswagen Golf. Second on the road is Charlie Polk, but there's a question mark over his pit stop and was it good enough, but he is closing in on the race leader regardless. Matt Swaffer now has dropped down into 3rd place and is still under pressure for that 3rd place from Jack Goes, who's there in 4th place. Up to 5th comes James Robinson in the Renault Clio, the number 10 car. Dan Abbott is up into 6th place at the wheel of the Honda, and it's George Wright who's in 7th place. 8th place is going to be Shane Rowe. 9th place is going to be the next of the cars, and that will be the number 77 car that's there in 9th place, and that is James Howells. Completing the top 10 is the number 153 car, and that will be Stephen Docker at the wheel of this Mazda MX-5. So that's the order of the top 10 at the moment. Oh, and into the side of Matt Swaffer goes Jack Goes. Off into the gravel trap at the Melbourne hairpin is the BMW. And that was just that small mistake, that snatch brake that I keep talking about. It takes just a split second to snatch the brake, and there's nothing really Jack Goes could do. He snatched the brake just when he was alongside Matt Swaffer, slithered into the side of the BMW. The Scirocco escapes the scene of the crime, albeit with damage, and Matt Swaffer's off in the gravel trap.
He is indeed. So Jack Goes with damage on the front left. Slam and shake from Matt Swaffer. Not very happy at all, but I think with it being a friendly paddock, obviously he will understand, watch it back and go, it happens, it's racing. So Jack Goes destined for the pit lane, so hopefully Ollie Goes is down there and ready to receive that car, but Jack with heavy damage on that front left. You should imagine that even if he did want to carry on, it would just start to rub on the tyre. So Charlie Polk with a penalty. What does this do? That puts the FrogJam Clio effectively up into a net second and Dan Abbott up into a net third.
Yeah, just going to have a quick check of the regulations because it will probably identify as to what will happen with the penalty. I know certainly for some of the MSVT Championships and series there is a very clear list of penalties within the regulations that identifies if you do something, what happens. So at the moment, yeah, Charlie Polk's pit stop for the number 89 car, just double checking again. Last time we saw that 89 car in the pit stop, how long was its pit stop? Yeah, 1 minute and 58.354 seconds, so it was a short stop, albeit by about 1.6 seconds, that was all. So Charlie Polk looking to try and pick up the lead of the race as they head down towards the braking area for the Melbourne hairpin, with now just 7.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, so with not that long left of the race as well, so 7.5 minutes, we will be able to confirm for you shortly exactly the structure in terms of penalties. Charlie Polk with a big look to the inside of race leader, that being Henry Wright behind the wheel, and whether Charlie knows it or not, whilst he's got a penalty and he may fall outside of the top three, he can still affect the complexion of the top three if he does continue to battle with Henry Wright. It could slow them down to the point of either mistakes or being caught by the cars around them. So the recovery operation going on at the Melbourne hairpin as Matt Swaffer's car is subject to a live snatch and will work its way back towards the paddock. But naturally the pace reduces, and out of the car I think is Jack Gove, just chatting to the Mango's team. Jeremy Adams, car left, car right, car left, car right, and is he going to dig it out of the gravel at the old hairpin? Yes he is. So with Martin Adams managing to get that car back out onto the circuit after a small mistake down at the old hairpin, can continue on. Martin having taken over from Andrew Thompson in the early stages of the race. The leader's really having to deal with traffic, and Charlie Polk isn't exactly being helpful to Henry Wright at the moment. Henry's trying to carve his way through traffic, and Charlie Polk's making it the best part of 4 wide as they're trying to go through the middle, and that's very brave indeed from Henry Wright, through the middle of traffic. Hornigold's on the right hand side, instead John Lyon on the left hand side, and they somehow managed to make it work, and that finally frees up a bit of space, and Charlie's got all the work to do again to try and close in on Henry Wright, albeit I don't think it will be for the net race lead, with a penalty of yet to be undecided looming over Charlie's head as he was short on that pit stop. Ollie Fernall's still out there and circulating, taken over from Johnny Ogden. Windscreen wiper working hard. Pro-Am Racing Renault Clio beautifully presented. And Scott Thompson, I think the Clio is the apple of his eye, as much as he loves the Enduro car that car feels. I think the Clio is truly what he loves. But that car running well at the moment in class, 6th in class, 12th overall. And that car running in Class C. The next car that they will meet is the BMW they're fighting with, 123, the Tyler Motorsport BMW of Dean Hyde. So those two are fighting not only for a position overall, but a position in class. So the final spot inside the top 5, and there you go, Ollie Fernall goes for it, forces the mistake, a lock-up from Dean Hyde, and Ollie Fernall goes through up into 5th in class.
Yeah, so the E30 BMW rejoins the circuit, having gone straight on through the Fogsy S's, but just utilised the runoff tarmac that exists there, so picked the pocket nice and easily, did Ollie Fernall on Dean Hyde, who's been racing this BMW for a good number of years. We've only got 4 minutes remaining on the clock. It is still Henry Wright that leads the way, but now nearly 2 3/4 seconds from Charlie Polk in 2nd position. Race leaders will just be stretching their legs up towards Coppice at the moment, where there's a bit of traffic I think our race leader has been dealing with. Poor old Matt Swaffer's car, which has now been extracted out of the gravel trap down at the Melbourne hairpin, is being pushed back behind the barriers by our marshals now that the hard work has been done by the telehandler.
It has indeed. it's getting rather close indeed on the run down towards the old hairpin, one of which is the Master MX-5 of Stephen Docker, scrapping away with James Howells. Those two together in terms of position, yes they are, they're fighting over the lead in Class D, and all the way around the outside, but with a bit of a wobble goes Stephen Docker. Is he going to take the lead in Class D? Yes he is, but struggling with understeer, manages to just hold on to that position on the run through McLean's, and that's up into what is 7th overall, as I say, the lead in Class D.
Yeah, and that's good for Stephen Docker because he's won his class in both of the previous races as well. So he's a 2-time class winner in Class D already, having won the Snetterton race 15th of March and backed that up with a win at Silverstone on the 6th of April. He's now also got another car between himself and the car he had been doing battle with, and that's the Jordan Honeybone Renault Clio that's now behind. It's still trying to work its way through the order. So we've got 2 3/4 minutes remaining on the clock. Race leader is down through the Crater curves on the penultimate lap of the race. And now, are we going to have another change potentially for the lead of that class, Class D? Yes, we do. The number 77 Ford Fiesta in the hands of James Howells goes back to the lead of Class D.
Can we just appreciate Jordan Honeybone, who's had drive-through penalties, he served his mandatory stop, but with the drive-through penalty, he's back up into what's going to be 7th place. Is it going to be 8th place? Because back up the inside goes James Howells. He's not wanting to lose any time in his newly acquired, or his newly reacquired lead in Class D. So all that hard work for Stephen Docker has come unravelled, and he's got to do it again as we are going to be about to the race leaders, potentially going on to the final lap of the race. Further down the order, we have Ashley Hornigold scrapping away with one of the Master MX-5s. We've got out there, it is Michael Arant, so Stephen Arant, pardon me.
Sorry.
So
Michael's his brother who raced the GT Cup last year.
So Stephen Arant is fighting away, and I don't think that's for position looking at the timing screen, but it may well be that those two are scrapping for overall position. We are going to be going on to the final lap of the race next time by, so it's going to be Henry Wright that leads us in towards the Melbourne Loop for the penultimate time. That car has run fairly faultlessly throughout this race. He's not really had too much to think about, albeit Charlie Paul was applying pressure. You could see, if you're watching the live stream, getting stuck on the curb with the power down. As soon as the car hit the painted curb, it just started to light up that outside front, and it wasn't willing to get off the curb as easy as I think they expected. But Henry Wright over the line, Charlie Paul gives chase. Onto the final lap of the race they will go. And with 50 seconds left, there's still plenty of positions to try and change. The FrogJam Racing Clio really starting to push on. James Robinson so late on the brakes on the run in towards the final corner at Goddard's. That's for Charlie Paul. We were expecting a penalty to be applied onto Charlie Paul because the number 89 machine was short throughout that pit stop. I'm just trying to locate it again. Yeah, 1 minute 58.3. It's got to be north of 2 minutes. So we've had nothing official pop up as of yet. So I think post-race penalties yet to be applied. Up the hill for the final time towards McLean's. Through Schwann's curve goes Henry Wright. And what he can do from now is just control this race all the way home. He may not know that car behind has a penalty, so we'll want to manage the 2-second gap. Last time through, Charlie Paul set the fastest lap of the race, the 2 minute 3.082. He's got rid of the best part of 45 minutes worth of fuel, so the car will be at its lightest. Just going over the line now is Ollie Fernal onto his final lap of the race, meandering his way down the exhibition straight is Henry. A bit more traffic to deal with. In this case, it's Wayne Cockrell that will stay on the very left-hand side, allow the quicker car through, allow it to make the decision of where they want to overtake. The car dancing around on the brakes, still pushing on then is Henry Wright, and then around the Melbourne hairpin for the final time. And it's the ascent towards Goddard's before it quite steeply descends again at the apex of Goddard's. It sort of spirals down and into the left, and it's quite easy to underestimate how steep that is. But the checkered flag awaits, and it's going to be Henry Wright in the club race Volkswagen Golf to come through and take the win in the MSVT Trackday Championship race this weekend. Over the line on the timing screen in second place, and provisionally is Charlie Paul, but whether he keeps that is yet to be confirmed. It should then be the number 10 FrogJam Racing Renault Clio with Freddie Pummel to come through and finish in third place. Yes, it is, followed then by Dan Abbott over the line with a flash of the lights as he finishes in third, and second in Class C. The win in Class C went the way of Freddie Pummel, so the top two in Class B were the top